Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Well, let's get straight into it. Anthony Joshua defeated Robert Helenius this past weekend to set up a potential mega clash with Deontay Wilder. Right, I'm not messing around. Let's get straight into the fight. First of all, it's very important that you have to factor in the circumstances when you're analysing a fighter's performance, because not just in boxing, in life, circumstances matter. And the fact is, Anthony Joshua was preparing for Dillian Whyte, a come-forward, short, stocky fighter. That's what he was preparing for. Obviously, Dillian Whyte failed a drug test. Robert Helenius was brought in, and you've got a giant of a man you've got a giant, tall fighter in front of you who's just a completely different style to Dillian Whyte. You know, it's not a shorter fighter; it's a fighter taller, you know, or just as tall. So you have to factor in those circumstances. However, the performance wasn't good enough. Now, after the Jermaine Franklin fight, I said there was an overreaction. I thought it was a decent performance, that considering he's fighting a tough fighter in Franklin. Franklin is a dangerous fighter. He's not a walkover for anyone. He's proved to be a durable, tough fighter. Fast hands, small, hard heavyweight to beat. Similar to Andy Ruiz, he has that style. Fast, short hand, fast, explosive hands, but short, you know. And he's a dangerous fighter, and I thought a lot of people were going overboard with the criticism. I thought it was decent performance from AJ. This on Saturday night wasn't. Robert Helenius, I don't care if he was brought in a week's notice, an hour's notice, or 10 years' notice, right? He wasn't throwing back, right? He was there just to pick up the money, right? And you can't blame him. It's a week notice. It is what it is. I know he fought the week before, but at the end of the day, there's difference between fighting in front of 10 people and fighting in front of 25,000 people. Do you know what I mean? It's a big difference, right? So he was there just to collect the money. And yes, I get AJ wanted to work on things, and he scored the knockout. But if we're dissecting it, it wasn't a good performance. The boos were ringing out the first half of the fight. You're watching it and you're thinking, let your hands go. Now, no one is saying stand there like Gatti and Ward with your head down and just start throwing bombs. No one is saying that. But Anthony Joshua was the fighter, the fighter he was, and the success he's had is because he was a phenomenal combination puncher, strong, explosive, fast, put his shots well together. That's all gone. He's just like a shadow of himself. He's just not throwing the combinations. Now, okay, you have to adapt your style. Every heavyweight does it, especially after a defeat. Vladimir Klitschko, when he got beat, I believe, was it Corey Sanders? I'm sure it was Corey Sanders or Lamont Brewster. Pretty sure it was Corey Sanders who caused a shock, knocked him out, knocked him down multiple times. And after that, I believe he went to Emmanuel Stewart and he just refined his style. Or he might have been with Stewart before that, but he refined the style the longer he was with Stewart, right? And you could see he was just basically the jab, and the right hand. Nothing else, no left hooks, no body shot. That's what worked for him. It wasn't great to watch, but it was effective, and it won him fight after fight after fight and multiple world titles, right? But Anthony Joshua isn't Vladimir Klitschko, right? Anthony Joshua's strength is his combination punching, right? And if you take that away from him, you're taking away his best asset. Now, yes, take your time. Work your opponent out, break him down, but throw your combinations. How many times would you just throw in a jab? You're thinking double it, treble it, go to the body and over the top, which was the finishing punch, right? But you're looking at early on, he just wasn't putting the punches together. And every time Helenius threw, there was just this horrible feeling in my stomach, like, God, if he connects, he's going to knock him out. And that's what you're feeling with Anthony at the moment. You are getting that. You just feel like if someone's going to pull it on him, you know, you're feeling like, is he going to crumble? There was times where he was doing the lead left hook. He's obviously been working on that in camp with Derrick James. It was just a lead left hook. Now, look, the lead left hook is a really hard punch to land regularly. You've got to be really fast with it, and your feet have got to be in range. You know, Canelo's really good at it. I think Floyd threw it a few. Floyd was good at it. It was just a lead left hook. Amir Khan was good at it, but Amir Khan would throw the lead left hook and come in with the right. If you look at the knockouts, Dimitri Salita, other knockouts, even when he fought Canelo, he was catching Canelo with that left hook and bang right hand. AJ was just left hook. There was no right hand following it, and he was missing with it. He was out of range with it, right? And there was a lot of times where he was out of range. I've heard some people say his footwork was better. I'm not looking at his footwork thinking it's better than how it previously was. I'm not thinking that. Now, it might be improved, and I'm sure he wants to sit down on his shots more, but he was out of range a bit. He looked like a fighter who is being taught a new style, and that's concerning at this stage. Now, what you have to understand about Anthony Joshua is he's an incredibly fast learner. Incredible. If you look how much time it takes him to learn things, look at when he went into a boxing gym at 18. A few years later, he was an Olympic gold medalist. Never threw a punch before, right? And literally a few years later, he's an Olympic gold medalist, right? So he's a quick learner, professional game. He's not started when he was 8, 9, 10 like Usyk and Fury. He started at 18, so he's always learning. Now, I know some people can say, well, a 30-plus-year-old can't learn new things in boxing, but you can if you look at how old he was when he started, which was old, very old in boxing terms. He has, as I say, he has no right to have the success that he has. It's unbelievable the success he has. If you look at the last Usyk fight, look at the changes from the first fight to the second. A lot of people like to forget he was very good in that fight. He was matching Usyk toe to toe. So let's not forget, I think it was the 10th or 9th round. He had him on scrambly legs a little bit. He did. He had his best round, and you're thinking, he could take Usyk out here. And obviously Usyk, the champion he is, just came out the round after and had his best round of the fight. But that fight was nip and go. It was very close, heading in towards the championship round. So that shows he adapted. Now, he's adapting to a new style with Derek James. However, you can't have 2 training camps and 2 fights to be able to beat Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. It's not going to happen. You need more time with him. Now, we're being told he's got a 3-fight plan and all this, and Eddie's selling it. Well, if you're going to tell us that, then we're going to have to give our opinion. And my opinion is he's not ready for Deontay Wilder next. Yes, of course I want to see the fight, and it's a mega fight. I've called for it. I think it's one of the biggest fights in boxing, right? But taking into consideration the new trainer and the style he's learning, I don't believe he's ready for that fight next. And as I've said to you, he looks like a fighter who's learning a new style. He was getting popped with a jab. Helenius was busting him up a little bit. If you look at his face, he was getting busted up a bit. Now, I saw decent head movement, but he's not going to be a Tyson Fury or Usyk. He's not going to be a pure boxer or a Vladimir Klitschko. He's not. Now, he can adapt and become a better boxer. Of course he can. Because what you have to understand is it's not just the fights, it's the sparring he's had. He's taken punishment, and especially in the heavyweight division, you've got to preserve yourself. You can't just go in gun-ho, right? So I can understand what he's doing. He's adapting his style. But if you're saying Deontay Wilder's next, that style, for me, isn't going to work. Because if you're hesitant against Helenius, which he was, now he might have been working on things, I'm sure he was, but there was times where you could see he was getting jabbed, double jabbed, his face was marked up a little bit, and he was hesitant. Now, Deontay Wilder isn't Helenius. He's not going to afford you the luxury of you working your style out and trying things out. He's not going to accept that. He's going to go in there looking to render you unconscious from the first second to the last. That's it. That's a man who knows what style he needs to implement. Anthony Joshua looks like a fighter who's learning a new style. You can see it. It's a little bit confused. He needs 3-4 more fights. 2 minimum. 2. It's insanity to put him in with Wilder next. Now, the business side of the sport. Okay, someone's offering you millions. We've all heard of the term make hay when the sun shines. They've got to make hay, but it's a catch-22. Do you go financial or do you look at someone's boxing career? Because talk of retirement and all this is nonsense. You want to relocate you to the States if you had any intention of retiring. This is a guy who's deadly serious about having a second phase of his career, right? So if that's the case, there's no problem with having another 2 more fights. Then fight Wilder and Fury. No problems whatsoever. But the issue is, his team, they all want to be paid, They all want the money. Eddie Hearn, they want the money. It's a big money fight. And can I blame them? No. How can you blame someone for wanting to earn millions of pounds if the Saudis are going to throw hundreds of millions of pounds at it? You can't say no, can you? So that's the problem. But as I say, the fight, it is what it is. wasn't setting up his combinations, very hesitant, just single shots. Now, it was a good finish, but I'm not going to sit here and paper over the cracks and say, well, unbelievable, knockout the air, let's go for Wilder next. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to be honest with you, right? Because if he didn't score that knockout, he'd have been booed out the arena, and it's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen. AJ's done a lot for British boxing, for fighters, for fans, for everyone involved. There's no way this guy should be booed. Absolutely no way. But at the end of the day, that's the way boxing is sometimes. And the knockout for me did paper over the cracks a bit, because Helenius just wasn't throwing back. You know, we could have took him out earlier on if you wanted to. And you want to see that intent. Because if you're going into a Deontay Wilder fight, you've got to be, from the first go, you've got to be prepared to get to this man before he gets to you. Because if you try and box on the outside against a tall, awkward, vicious puncher, you're in trouble. Now, I've said a lot about Deontay Wilder throughout the years. There's videos of me saying technically he's probably the worst heavyweight champion that's ever been. But I've come to appreciate that the knockout punch, that's all he needs, right? And he sets it up. He proved against one of the best and elusive fighters in Tyson Fury that he can set that shot up and he can put you on the floor. So people saying his power's overrated or who he's for. Now, yes, you can question his resume, but at the end of the day, you can't question that power. For me, I think he's the hardest puncher that's ever lived. If you actually look at his size, he's not a big heavyweight. He might be tall. He's not big. He's very thin. Thin legs. The power, it's just God-gifted. I can't explain it. God-gifted, right? And if he lands on your chin, he will render you unconscious. It's as simple as that, right? But he is a guy who knows what he wants in the ring. This is not a guy who's questioning himself. He has to ask his coaches, look to his coaches. He knows he's going to go in there and he's looking to lay you out. That's what he's looking to do, and that's the problem. And that's why if you have this fight next, you've got a guy who's trying to learn a style against a guy who knows what style works for him, and he will use it in every fight, and he's proven it, right? And that's the problem. At the end of the fight, the smoke had cleared. It was a vicious knockout. Anthony Joshua was getting interviewed, and you're thinking, this is it. Call Wilder out. Hopefully he's here somewhere. They should have had him coming out. Why wasn't he there at ringside? Perfect time to do that. And you're thinking, come on, AJ, let's hear it. Just went from the ring, didn't he? And whatever he was doing afterwards, and it was left to Eddie Hearn. With all due respect to Eddie Hearn, I don't want to hear him talk about it because he's lost credibility with it. We've heard it for the last 6 years of Eddie, you know. That's it. I don't want to hear Eddie Hearn telling me it's next. Not good enough. The credibility's gone with it. You've been telling me it's next for the last 6 years. I was a 2-fight deal. I was a 3-fight plan or whatever it was, next phase of his career, second phase. Nonsense, right? You've been telling me this for years. So you getting on a microphone doesn't really carry much weight at the moment, unfortunately. All right, as much as I like Eddie, unfortunately, I don't want to hear it. That was a time for AJ to do it. Another concerning thing for me was at the end of the fight, Gareth A. Davis asked Anthony Joshua, is it Wilder next? And this is his response.
So Wilder next? Wilder next, Anthony?
It's looking like it. That's the whole media spin. So the fans and the media dictate what I do, right? So, yeah.
I mean, words like, it's looking like it, that's the whole media spin. The fans and the media dictate what I do, right? Like, that's not someone who screams to me, I know what I need to do, and I want Deontay Wilder next. That's someone who's being forced into the fight, you know? Words, that's the whole media spin. The fans and the media dictate. Well, that's not great words. What do you mean, the media spin? It's a fight we want to see. Your own promoter has been telling us. It's not the media. And I love AJ. And I don't like criticising him. But at the end of the day, you follow me because I'm going to give you my honest opinion. That's why you follow me. And that's why you tune into me. Right? I ain't on the payroll. I can give you an honest assessment. As much as I love him, I have to give an assessment. If your promoter's telling us it's next, that's not media spin. That's not the fans dictating. That's your team telling us it's next. So that's not great. So do I think it's going to happen in January? Absolutely not. I don't believe it's going to happen next. He's already said AJ he wants another 2 fights before a Wilder fight. Don't think it's going to happen next. I really don't. I would have him have 2 more fights and then fight Wilder. Really get used to that style because he's with a new trainer. 2 training camps is not enough. Not enough for a new style. You need at least 4. You know, you need to get used to the rhythm, the timing, being told different information, especially in the fights. Now, he will get a bucket load of confidence from that knockout. He needed it. My God, he needed it. Right? And we can talk about the performance, but at the end of the day, he got that knockout, and he needed to remember who he was, that he has got that power to knock you out. And I think that will give him a boost, right? So let's build on it. Let's get another opponent in, tall again, and let's see him work towards these fights, right? Listen, we won't have a problem as fans if you be honest and you tell us. But don't come on and say it's next. We want it next. It's going to be next, and it doesn't happen next. Don't tell us that. Come and be honest and just say we're in the Anthony Joshua business, and we're not gonna go financial. The money will come. We're gonna let him have another 2 fights, settle him, and then we believe he will beat anyone, and we'll all be on board. Not a problem. But if you're coming on waffling that it's next, and AJ's not singing from that same hymn sheet, well, we're gonna give opinions, and if you don't like that opinion, that's down to you, unfortunately. I don't think it'll happen next. I really don't. But it's a brilliant fight. Now, what does AJ do now? Again, he just needs to go back to America and just work, right? And just work on this new style in the gym as much as you can. Another few more fights, and let's go for the big fights. Right, let me know what you think. Do you agree with my assessment? Do you want to see Deontay Wilder next? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know.